This is video number 4. In this video I'm going to show you how I put the apron of the table together, including the inside frame to support everything and keep everything square. In this video I'm also going to show you how I used mortise and tenon joinery in order to bring all those pieces together. Like any apron around a square or rectangular table, the apron I'm building consists of 4 boards that will go around the desk. There's 2 short and there's 2 long boards. One of those long boards, I'm going to put 2 cuts in it in order to accept the face of the drawer. But in order to hold the drawer in place, I need to go a little further. And you'll see in a few minutes that I'll be building an internal brace system that's going to be made out of pine in order to accept that apron. So I started by milling my cherry boards to size. That involved planing, jointing, and then ripping those pieces to width. Next step, I started with the mortises on my legs. I laid out lines on the legs as to where the mortises would go. And then using a mortising attachment on my drill press, I started by going ahead and drilling out the material. This was tough going. 2 things I gathered. One is the nature of the wood, but also I think my chisels are starting to get a little bit dull. Anyways, in the end it required multiple passes at incremental depths in order to get to the end. I also used a hand chisel to clean things up and make sure that my mortises were perfect. For the tenons, I started by using my dado blade to remove the material from the shoulders. I did 2 passes on all faces to make sure I had the right measurement, or at least the expected measurement. And to confirm everything was good, I used one of the mortises on one of the legs as a test in order to confirm that the width of the tenons was accurate. Then off to the bandsaw to complete the final cuts. And after that, I have really nice looking tenons. Final cleanup, I used a block plane to smooth the edges off on the tenons. It's time for sanding all the pieces. 80, 150, and 220 grit is what I used. It's finally time for some assembly. I learned from previous projects to be very patient. So in this case, what I decided to do was to do a glue up of the short ends of the table, make sure everything was square, and let everything dry before continuing. long side, I decided to work on the brace system. I started by cutting the pieces that would become the braces. And my feeling was that it would, and it did in fact, simplify the process of keeping the leg system completely square while doing the glue up. I'm a big fan of pocket screws where it makes sense, and in this case it makes perfect sense. So I'm using pocket screws to attach the brace to the table. Here's the most nerve-wracking part of the build. I took very careful measurements as to where I wanted the drawer front to be, and I did 2 cuts on that piece of the apron to isolate the drawer front. You can only get this part right once. The short ends of the table are now dry. It's now time to concentrate on one of the long pieces of the apron, the one that does not have the drawer. You'll notice at the front that I've got one of those braces, that piece of pine that's a little more yellow than the golden birch and the cherry. I'm using that piece just to square everything off, and I'll use that when I'm doing my clamping as well. Before I clamp anything down, time to use my trusty little square that I really like, and just check things over. And of course, let's check for square by doing a measurement of both diagonals. I was really fortunate. It came in square pretty much on the first try. Everything's in place. Time to check for square just one final time. Next step is to attach the brace system to the table. I aligned the brace to the bottom of the apron system, and using a couple of pocket screws on both ends, secured it in place. The brace installed on the drawer side, I first install the part of the apron not attached to the drawer front, and then secure the brace with pocket screws. To support the drawer and slides, I'm installing a cross piece made of pine. The piece is centered on the edge of the drawer front. Again, I'm using pocket screws and my trusty square to line it up, and there will be another one on the other side of the drawer. Now, speaking of drawer, I'm now ready to build that, and that will be the subject of the next and final video. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit like, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you.